Hey everybody, how's it going? This is John Breeden. It is March 11th, 2019. Today is Monday on the show, which means I am reviewing all the action from the ISM Raceway. Lots of things happened this weekend. We had a fight during qualifying. We had the Xfinity race on Saturday, won by Kyle Busch, and yesterday's Cup race, yesterday's Cup race I thought was probably the best race so far in 2019. And Kyle Busch won, so he swept the weekend. His Cup win yesterday marked win number 199 across all three of NASCAR's top major series. And yeah, let me not waste any time here. I'm going to go ahead and get into it. First, as I mentioned, I'm sure everybody has seen it by now. There was a big fight during qualifying. And it was between Michael McDowell and Daniel Suarez in Cup qualifying. Now, I'm not sure what the actual story was because I did not watch qualifying. But as far as I know, these guys were, I guess, just getting in each other's way during qualifying. And on pit road after the run, Daniel Suarez confronted Michael McDowell. Suarez, who was not wearing a helmet, confronted McDowell, who was wearing a helmet. Michael McDowell, really without any conversation, just grabbed Suarez basically by the throat. And Suarez kind of grabs onto him and kind of does like a sweep. And he just throws McDowell on the ground. McDowell just falls straight down on his back. And then I guess it was somebody from McDowell's crew who came in and kind of shoved Suarez aside. And, of course, officials were just trying to break it up. McDowell got back up. He was pulling on Suarez's shoe for who knows what reason. And they ended up just kind of talking it out there on pit road. As far as I know, nothing really got talked out. They just kind of had a conversation because they would come back on Sunday. They were starting on the same row, so they had to come out during driver intros. They played the famous Rocky music during their driver introductions. And you saw them talking during the pre-race show on like on the back of the driver intros truck. And it looked like they were working things out. But according to Suarez, the, quote, relationship has not been fixed between McDowell and Suarez. So, that was that. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and find it. It's everywhere. And Suarez, in his interview, this was not on Fox. This was Jeff Gluck posted this on Twitter. And his quote was, this was not a direct quote, but this is basically the gist of what he said. He said, I am out here racing, and you have to respect me. If you don't respect me, I'm going to go kick your ass. just awesome. I mean, it was just awesome. It was almost like a WWE promo that he was cut in on Michael McDowell. I just thought it was great. Daniel Suarez, look, say what you want about him, whether he deserves to be in Cup or not. I mean, he showed that he is a stand-up guy, and, he's not here just to get run over by everybody. He is going to stand up for himself, and Michael McDowell played it off well. I saw on his Twitter, of course, everybody was saying, man, you left your helmet on. He's like, come on. I sleep with that helmet on. I have that helmet on all the time. But, hey, it was a pretty awesome, it wasn't really a fight. I mean, it was more of just a scuffle, but man, Suarez just threw him down on the ground. It was pretty crazy, and I guess I could say I was surprised. I mean, if you look at, if you compare Suarez and McDowell, I mean, they're both incredibly strong guys, but McDowell is just a significantly bigger guy than Suarez as far as build and height. I mean, he is a lot bigger than Suarez, and Suarez said he fought a lot in middle school, so that is what it reminded him of. And Yeah, I mean, Suarez is a strong dude. I remember I met him at Bristol a few years ago, and he was over at some stage, and they had like a pull-up contest. And they were like, well, Daniel, why don't you go ahead and do it? And he did it. And I think he did like 26 pull-ups or something like that. It was just crazy. He did them all in like a minute. He was doing them. I mean, he was going for it. I mean, he was doing them so quick. And yeah, he had like 25 or 26 pull-ups, I think. I still have a video of it somewhere. But yeah, Suarez showing he's not going to take any crap from anybody. And hey, that's what this sport needs. This sport needs stand-up guys like that. And hey, you know what? This sport was somewhat built off of fighting. I mean, you remember the big fight in '79 with Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison and Bobby. Both Allisons were in there, and some people, realized, wow, like that was the moment. That was the big moment for NASCAR because that was the first time they were televised, and that big fight happened. So we need more of that, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and get into this Xfinity race on Saturday. It was the IK9 Service Dog 200, and I called it the Arizona 200 on Saturday because if you had checked the app that day, they had that race listed as the Arizona 200. So I don't know why. I just thought that was weird. Well, they didn't get a sponsor, and well, then race day comes and they have IK9 Service Dog sponsoring the race. So I was like, oh, okay. I don't guess that was a last minute deal. I'm not so sure, or maybe the website doesn't update that. I don't know. But nonetheless, it was the IK9 Service Dog 200. Christopher Bell was on the pole for the race. And stage 1, Bailey Curry had a flat right side tire through turns 3 and 4 with 13 laps to go left in the stage. They had ran green all the way up until then. Bell had led every lap, so they had a caution out. And Bell, Busch, Reddick, and Custer ended up pitting under this caution, I guess to go ahead and get out front at the end of stage 2 to go ahead and set them up for stage 2. So Austin Cindric would take over the lead on a restart with 6 laps to go. And Cindric would have to hold off Bell. And I think they were coming around to the last corner to the stage checkered flag, and Bell was just right on him. He drove it in deep, tried to get to his bumper, almost got there, but Austin Cindric was able to hold him off, and Austin Cindric won stage 1 at Phoenix. The top 10 in that stage was Austin Cindric, Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, Michael Annett, Tyler Reddick, John Hunter Nemechek, Noah Gragson, Justin Allgaier, Cole Custer, and Justin Haley. So overall, what was surprising to me about this was Bell he was able to pull away from Kyle Busch on that first run of that stage when Bell was leading. I mean, he led every single lap, but it was just so surprising to me that he was able to drive away from Kyle Busch. I was stunned. And obviously the pit stop kept him from winning that stage, but that would set him up to regain the lead after the rest of the cars pit. Austin Cindric came into pit, so Bell would regain the lead. And this restart, Busch would immediately pass Bell on the outside. So I thought, well, okay, here we go. Here comes the Kyle Busch show. And Bell would not let Kyle Busch go, though. He would work on him for a while and then would finally get by him at lap 25 of this stage. Stages, by the way, were 45 laps, and then the final 110 lap stage. So Bell would pass him at lap 25 of the stage, and he would cruise to the stage 2 win. I believe he was like 2 or 3 seconds ahead. And your top 10 here was Bell, Busch, Reddick, Allgaier, Gragson, the top 5. Then it was Cindric, Custer, Ryan Sieg, Ryan Truex, and Justin Haley. So I thought at this point Christopher Bell looked far better than Kyle Busch. And he came off pit road in front of Kyle. So I thought, man, like, Christopher Bell is going to pull off, I mean, perhaps an upset here. I mean, I know, obviously, Christopher Bell is always good in the Xfinity Series, but I figured this would just be a Kyle Busch show all day long, and it was Christopher Bell who was dominating early. But then, we would get to the final stage here. So, I mean, this was just weird because Kyle Busch would jump out to the lead, passing Bell on the restart. And then with 71 to go in the race, so Kyle at this point, he jumps out in front. He pulls away by about 3 or 4 seconds. And Justin Allgaier was actually able to get to second. But I was just like, what in the world happened there? It was just weird because all of a sudden Bell's car just completely fell off. And Kyle was actually talking about in the middle of the race that his car was not turning well. So I assume they did make adjustments on it. Kyle came over the radio when he was leading, said it's turning much better. But I was just shocked that that's all it took. And Bell was 3 or 4 seconds back. Then it would go to disaster. Stephen Light in the 01 car just blew an engine going into turn 3. Just a huge cloud of smoke. Justin Allgaier and Bell were running right behind him in second and third. I guess they just slid through the fluid, and both of them went up into the wall. Bell backed it in, so did Allgaier, but Allgaier's damage was minor, and Bell's damage ended up taking him out of the race. So the second and third place car wrecked, bringing out the caution. And Justin Allgaier was somehow able, even though he had some, I say minor damage, but it was pretty significant damage. But they were able to fix it up, and he actually stayed on the lead lap. And, yeah, Bell went to the garage after pretty much a dominant car up until that final stage. And Bell, in his interview, said it was weird. This one is his exact quote, but the gist of what he said was, it was weird. He didn't think his car was worse on that last run, but when he got behind the 18 and the 7, he just couldn't pass him. So, I don't know what happened. I guess perhaps Kyle just worked on his car and he got better. I mean, I'm not going to question, how Kyle Busch got to the front. I mean, it was just weird because it looked like Bell was just going to dominate all day long, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's just Kyle is passing him right back. But as far as Christopher Bell goes, he won Atlanta. He ran good in Las Vegas. He ran good today in Phoenix. Just some bad luck the past 2 weeks, so he knows he still has fast race cars. So if I were Bell or any Christopher Bell fans, I wouldn't be too worried. So that would move Tyler Reddick and Cole Custer to second and third with 58 laps to go. And on this restart, Cole Custer, remember, he slid up the track through turns 1 and 2, nearly wrecked. It was a great save. And he would end up dropping outside the top 10 at that point, but then he would work his way back. Justin Allgaier, as mentioned, he remained in the race and was still on the lead lap. But this last 58-lap run, Kyle Busch was completely untouched the rest of the race. Actually, Ryan Truex got to second on that last restart. He got within, I think, about a half a second of him, but then Kyle pulled away and won at Phoenix. His 94th career win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. His 11th Phoenix Xfinity win, and he is 2 for 2 in his Xfinity starts in 2019. 13 lead lap cars at the finish. So yeah, it was, like I said, I mean, it was pretty much a basic, normal Xfinity race. Nothing too exciting happened. Obviously, the Allgaier-Bell wreck, I think, was probably the big story of the race. And, I mean, Christopher Bell, to me, it looked like he was just going to drive away with the win until that final stage. Just something happened, he got behind, and, well, he ended up having some bad luck. Somebody blew up in front of him. There's nothing he could have done. So, yeah, Kyle Busch, once again, the winner in the Xfinity Series, and say what you want, but I mean, hey, he worked on the car. His car was not running as good at the beginning of the race. They worked on it. Still couldn't get it going in stage 2, but then, hey, that final stage, he pulled it off. So, the IK9 Service Dog car went to victory lane in the IK9 Service Dog 200. Take a look at your race results here. I'm going to review 1st through 10th. We have Kyle Busch. Ryan Truex, as mentioned, was 2nd. Ryan Truex drove the number 8 for Junior Motorsports. We have Tyler Reddick 3rd. Cole Custer 4th. Austin Cindric 5th. Chase Briscoe 6th. Brandon Jones and Michael Annett 7th and 8th. I said on Wednesday I expected Brandon Jones to run pretty solid. He did. A good top 10 finish. How about Michael Annett? I mean, since that Daytona win, it's given him a whole new confidence in himself, and he's starting to run really good as of late. So, props to Michael Annett, a solid top 10. John Hunter Nemechek was 9th. Ryan Sieg, a top 10 finish. And I actually saw on Twitter somewhere that Ryan Sieg is actually pairing up with RCR this year, and he is driving some like old RCR Xfinity cars. So that's why I get one of the main reasons you're seeing Ryan Sieg run so much better as of late. So, big props to Ryan Sieg, another top 10 finish. He was 6th last week in Vegas. 11th through 20th, Noah Gragson, Justin Haley, Jeremy Clements, Justin Allgaier, as mentioned, he was involved in that wreck. He was running 2nd at the time. Brandon Brown, Gray Galden, Ross Chastain, who of course has been strong so far this season, but I expected him to be around this spot. As mentioned on Wednesday, he's a lot better on the bigger racetracks than he is the smaller racetracks. I did expect him to get a top 15, but 17th, still solid. Ray Black Jr., 18th. Chad Fincham, 19th. Tyler Hill was 20th. 21st through 30th, we have B.J. McLeod, Garrett Smithley, Vinnie Miller, Joey Gase, Mike Harmon, Josh Bilicki, David Starr, Matt Mills, Josh Williams, Christopher Bell, as mentioned, dominated the first 2 stages, but got involved in that wreck. And then rounding out the field, 31st through 37th, Stephen Light, Ronnie Bassett Jr., Jeff Green, Morgan Shepherd, Tommy Joe Martins, Stan Mullis, and Bailey Curry, the finishing order. Now it's time to move on to the Cup race. The TicketGuardian 500 yesterday. And what I thought, like I mentioned, the best race of 2019. Lots of good restarts. Lots of action-packed racing, 3, 4, 5 wide on some of those restarts. So let's go ahead and get into it. Ryan Blaney started on the pole. Chase Elliott was to his outside. Green flag flies. Ryan Blaney spins the tires at the start. Chase Elliott edges him for the lead. He leads the first few laps. And then it's come to our attention that Chase Elliott was penalized for a start violation. I'm not going to complain about this too much, because if I do, obviously people are just going to be like, well, you're biased, Chase Elliott. But this is a stupid rule. And it's a stupid rule because it's not like Chase just flat out raced him to the start-finish line and beat him. Like, Ryan Blaney spun the tires on the restart. And this goes, okay, pretend I'm not talking about Chase Elliott. Because people pretend I'm talking about Chase Elliott, they're going to think I'm biased anyway. I don't like this rule, period. I don't care who it is. It doesn't make any sense. How are you supposed to, you're supposed to just slam on the brakes if somebody spins the tires at the start? That's a wreck. That's how a wreck happens. A big wreck at the start of the race. Maybe that's what they want. I don't know. But it's a stupid rule. And I think it happened maybe to Christopher Bell in the Xfinity series last year. Something like, it was like the exact same scenario. Might have been Justin Allgaier. I forget who it was, but there's somebody in the Xfinity. I mean, it happens all the time, but I remember somebody last year, and it was pretty much the same scenario. Somebody spun the tires, and they just barely beat them to the line. And that was it. They got penalized. It's a ridiculous rule, and in my opinion, needs to change. It's one thing if Chase just took off from the field, but he gave Ryan Blaney his chance. Ryan Blaney spun the tires at the start, and Chase passed him. Barely. I don't understand the rule, but nonetheless, Chase Elliott does a pass-through. Stays on the lead lap, though. Right rear flat for Eric Jones at lap 39. He went up, just barely brushed the wall. So he was able to come down and make some adjustments. And let's see here. Oh, yes, Brad Keselowski, also another tire problem. Keselowski came over the radio, said he felt like something was wrong with the car. 12 to go in the stage, he would suffer a flat right front. So that was bad for Keselowski. I think he went 2 laps down maybe here. Pretty sure. 1 or 2. But nonetheless, he was out of the equation. One of the major Penske cars who've been running very well this season. But there's the other Penske car, Ryan Blaney, who started on the pole, fell back to second. Of course, to Chase Elliott, but he would win stage 1. And actually, Kyle Busch went up and passed Ryan Blaney early. And then Kyle Busch actually surrendered to the lead under that last caution in order to pit and come out the leader for stage 2. So, the top 10 in the stage was Ryan Blaney, Eric Almirola, Joey Logano, Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Austin Dillon, William Byron, Chase Elliott worked his way from the back to 9th. Got a few lucky cautions. Kevin Harvick, 10th. A lot of fun racing in the stage, I thought. And the high line was very fast off exit of turn 2. If you really watched Kyle when he took the lead from Ryan Blaney. And it wasn't even really the high line. It was just kind of like the upper groove. And, man, Kyle would get on that upper groove. And he would just blast past people off exit of the corner. Same with Denny Hamlin, as well as Chase Elliott, who was working his way back to the front. But that was a really fast lane yesterday. Stage 2, Alex Bowman, who was expected to have a pretty good day yesterday in Phoenix. Ended up slamming the wall at 1 and 2 with a flat right front. He was able to fix the damage, though. And this caution actually fell right as the stage ended. Kyle Busch pretty much dominated the stage, won stage 2. The top 10 here was Kyle Busch, Clint Bowyer, Kevin Harvick, Mark Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Ryan Newman, Jimmy Johnson, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, and Kurt Busch. And yeah, I was getting confused here because, I mean, the pit strategies were really shuffling up the field. As mentioned, Newman and Johnson, they were in the top 10. They did some pit strategy. Kurt Busch was doing some pit strategy. So, lots of things were getting shuffled up. Ryan Blaney did not even make the top 10 this time because of all the pit cycles going on. But it still looked like Kyle Busch was going to dominate. He was the dominant car. And the Haas cars there, Bowyer and Harvick, looked good in that stage, so you figured they were going to be at least giving Kyle a run for his money. But there was a lot of good battle in here between Daniel Suarez and Brad Keselowski for the free pass position at the time. And Kyle ended up lapping more cars, so it didn't really matter anyway. They still didn't get their laps back. Suarez, I think he lost power or something on the front stretch under one of those cautions. I think it was right before the stage went back green. And I don't know what happened, but his car just stalled. He ended up going a lap down, but he got back out there. And boy, him and Brad were just racing each other so hard for that free pass position. But unfortunately for them, it didn't matter because Kyle just continued to lap cars, and they didn't end up getting the free pass. So under the stage caution, Kyle Busch was off pit road first. Final stage. The restart of this final stage. Crazy 3 and 4 wide racing. Just awesome restarts. Awesome restarts all day long. The restarts were insane. Problems for Michael McDowell. He hit the wall and brought out the caution. I guess that was the same lap. Yeah, I think that was the same lap. Another right front flat for Alex Bowman. That brought out the caution at lap 194. This ultimately ended his day. Way more significant damage. Ended up taking it behind the wall. Jimmy Johnson took 2 tires under this caution, won the race off of pit road, so he was the leader. Very surprised by this. A lot of 2-tire stops yesterday. But wouldn't matter. Kyle Busch would immediately take the lead back. Lap 219, Chase Elliott spins on the front stretch, kept it off the wall. This was at lap 219, so we're at less than 100 to go. And Kyle Busch under this caution, he was the leader at the time, but he went in and came out 7th after 6 cars took 2 tires. One of them was Ryan Blaney, I believe. Ryan Preece would hit the wall on the backstretch with 87 to go. Looked like he just got loose and slid off the bumper of Suarez. Ryan Blaney would take the lead. Oh, sorry, it was Eric Almirola who was up front with 2 tires. Ryan Blaney would pass Eric Almirola with 60 to go. Almirola would hold his own there for a few laps, but then Blaney would take it away. Then Kyle Busch closing in on Ryan Blaney. These two fought like hell for the lead. And Ryan Blaney was just doing everything he can. Kyle was to the inside. Blaney kept getting runs off the outside to hold his own and stay with Kyle, but it would not be enough. Kyle Busch would take the lead with 16 laps to go. This then became a save fuel race. Everybody was worried about gas. Ryan Blaney, when he was leading, actually said he was about 3 laps short. Still ended up making it, though. Kyle Busch coasted out to a big lead in front of Truex Jr., who actually took 2nd from Blaney. And Kyle Busch saved enough fuel to sweep the weekend and win at Phoenix. Overall, I thought lots of good restarts, some 4 and 5 wide racing on those restarts. And somehow, they were a lot of wrecks in this race, but I don't think any of them were for like a big wreck after a restart. There were a few wrecks on a restart, but it's only like a one-car incident. So, yeah, I think it was 10 cautions, I believe. And I thought it was a great race. I thought, like I said, best race 2019. Be kind of hard to top. I mean, Phoenix really is a dark horse as far as good races. I mean, they have a lot of good races there, and I always prefer the fall race because the tensions are high. Obviously, it's the final race to try and get in Homestead. That's always a more high stakes race. But as far as this Phoenix spring race, at least what I can remember, I think this is probably the best Phoenix spring race. At least it's up there. I know Carl and Kevin Harvick had a good finish here a few years ago, one of the closest finishes in history. But yeah, I thought it was great. Hey, if you go to Phoenix Raceway, or perhaps ISM Raceway, I'm sure you're happy with the race you saw yesterday. So, that is the Cup race. To go ahead and take a look at these race results. Top 10 here. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, Eric Almirola, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Kurt Busch, 2 top 10s for the Ganassi cars, both of them in the top 10. Jimmy Johnson, best finish of 2019, 8th place. Great run for Jimmy. Able to hang up there with 2 tires. A few points in this race. Worked some strategy, but got a top 10 out of it. Great job by Jimmy Johnson. Kevin Harvick, the 9-time Phoenix winner, finishes 9th. And I picked him to win on Wednesday. He did not lead a single lap in this race. Hard to believe. Somebody who usually comes to Phoenix and just absolutely dominates. He did not lead a single lap in this race. Very, very shocking. Joey Logano was 10th. We have 11th through 20th here. Clint Boyer, Ryan Newman, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Newman and Stenhouse 12th and 13th. The two Roush Fenway cars. I expected Ryan Newman to run good, but I was surprised by Ricky Stenhouse. He was able to hold his own, a good top 15. I figured he would be just outside the top 15, but hey, 13th for Stenhouse. Chase Elliott. Boy, what a day he had. A restart violation, a spin. Still got 14th out of it. So, obviously, Chase had a very fast car today, so nothing really to hang his head about. Ty Dillon, a solid run in 15th place. As well as Chris Buescher, 16th place. Good run for those two guys. And it's Paul Menard, 17th. Daniel Hemrick, 18th. Brad Keselowski, 19th. Matt Tiff, 20th. Austin Dillon, 21st. So I mentioned Hemrick was 18th. Dillon is 21st. So still no top 15s for Richard Childress in 2019. Darrell Wallace Jr., 22nd. Daniel Suarez, a wild weekend for him. He's 23rd. William Byron, kind of surprised by this. He did run good in that first stage, but didn't see much of him after that. 24th today. Yesterday, sorry, I keep saying today. David Reagan, 25th. Corey LaJoie, 26th. Ross Chastain, 27th. Matt DiBenedetto actually had a pretty good run. DiBenedetto was up in about 12th or 13th at some point in that race. Eric Jones, 29th. Quinn Houff, 30th. Quinn Houff is actually from around my area. He grew up in Wears Cave, Virginia. And I live in Harrisonburg, Virginia. That's about, let's say, about 30 minutes away. So for me, he's a hometown boy. 30th in his Cup debut. And then rounding out the field, 31st through 36th. Only 36 cars in this race. Bailey Curry, Cody Ware, Landon Castle, Ryan Preece, Alex Bowman, as mentioned, wrecked twice in this race. Michael McDowell rounding out the field in 36th. That is Phoenix. And Wednesday, I will be reviewing for the Auto Club 400, California Speedway, Auto Club Speedway, whatever you want to call it. It's coming up this weekend. We have Xfinity and Cup on tap. And it's going to be a really exciting weekend. We'll see if Auto Club can top Phoenix. Usually we see some pretty good races there at that track as well. Some awesome restarts there. Some more 4 and 5 wide racing. And yeah, I will be back here on Wednesday to preview that race weekend. That's it from ISM Raceway. Everybody have a great day.